Okay, the following is a review for your first test. You cannot use a calculator on this part. Okay? So, for the minus and plus part, we need to use a number line. Okay? -7 minus -10. So -7, -10, the operator is a minus, but we don't like minuses. Am I minusing a negative or minusing a positive? You're minusing a negative, so we'll go plus, 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 plus. So we start at -7, and I'm adding a positive 10. So I go right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That takes me to 3. Okay, 5 minus 7. So I've got 5 and 7. The operator's a minus. Okay, so if we're subtracting a positive, we go plus, negative. Okay, so I'm going to start at 5. I'm going to go 7 to the left. So 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. -2. Okay, -3 and -5 are the two values. The operator's a plus, so I'm good with that. I'm going to start at -3 and go 5 to the left. Don't change anything on plus. So -3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That takes me to -8. Okay, -4 minus 3. So I have a -4, and that's not a -3 yet. Right now it's a minus operator. But I don't like minus, so I'm going to make that plus. But then I got to decide if I'm going to do plus plus or plus negative. Well, I'm subtracting a positive, so it's plus negative. So I'll start at -4 and go 3 to the left. -4, 1, 2, 3. So it takes me to -7. -3 plus 7, okay? Operator here is a plus, so we'll start at -3. And I'm adding a positive to it, so I'll go to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that's 4. -6 plus 8, so I have -6 and 8. And the operator's a plus, exactly. So I start at -6, and I'm adding a positive, so I go to the right from -6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that takes me to 2. Okay, now I have -6 and -2. The operator this time is times, so I don't need a number line for that. -6 negative times a negative is a positive, and 6 times 2 is 12. Okay, the next problem, I have -6 and 2. Again, the operator is a times. So negative times a positive is a negative. 6 times 2 is 12. Okay, this operator, -6 and 2, is to divide. So negative divided by negative is a positive, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. And right here, negative divided by positive is a negative, and 6 divided by 2 is again 3. But this time it's -3. Okay, now you can get your calculator out for the other half. You don't have to use it, but it helps. Okay, evaluate the expressions for the given variables. Now here's the first question. Do they give you numbers that the variables equal? They do. So your first step, by the way, on this whole sheet, write PMDA. You won't have to worry about the E for exponent. You're not going to have to worry about the S, because remember, we get rid of subtraction operations. Okay, so that's there to refer to on all 6 of these problems. Okay. First thing, I am given numbers here, so the first thing I need to do is parenthesize those variables and then empty the parentheses. So 3 parentheses plus operator, x parentheses, y, and then a parentheses for y. So x is -3. Then another x, so that's -3 again, and then y is -5. Okay, so know your operators. 3 and -3 have none, so that's a times. -3 and -3 have a plus. Good, I like that. I'll circle the operators. Okay. -3, -5 have no operator to begin with, so that's a times. Okay. parentheses. Now we have them, but there's only one value inside all of them, so we can not worry about that. The multiplication, 3 and -3, and -3 and -5. We need to find those two products. So that's -9. You can use your calculator if you want. Negative times a negative is a positive, and 3 times 5 is 15. Okay. Now there is no division. The adding, yeah, these are like terms. There are no letters in there. So just add those together, either on your calculator or on a number line. So if I'm at -9, I'm adding positive 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That takes me to 6. Okay, my next problem, 2x. I see that minus operator there, and then y. So I print, again, I'm given the actual values for the variables, so both variables need to be replaced with their values from over here. So 2 parentheses minus parentheses. So the x is -3, and the y is -2. So between the 2 and -3, there's no operator, so that's a times. Between the -3 and -2, we have a minus operator, but I don't like minus operators, okay? You need to convert that to addition. Now, are you subtracting a negative or a positive? You're subtracting a negative, so it's plus plus. Okay, now you're ready to go. Parentheses, again, there's only one value inside of them. Multiplication right here. 2 times -3 is -6, and then the plus operator, and then positive 2. You can put positive 2, or you can just put 2 given the fact that it's positive. There is no division. And the adding, you can use your calculator, but a number line would work too. So -6, and I'm adding a positive, so I go right 1, 2. And that takes me to -4. Okay, the next, I have an x. And I can replace that with -3, okay? So I parenthesize the x. I know it's already in parentheses, but I still want it parenthesized. So I have -3, a parentheses, and then another parentheses, and then I empty out the inside. And then -4 plus 5. Okay, put that -3 in for x, and now we know that, got to know the operators. So between -3 and -3, I see no operator, so that's a times. Put the times outside the parentheses, though. Between the -3 and 4, we have a minus, so we want to convert that to an adding operator. So I'm minusing a positive here, so I'll go plus negative then. And between the -4 and 5, I have the addition operator. Okay, so parentheses. Okay, we have a parentheses here with two values inside, and they are like terms because there are no variables. -3 plus -4. So I start at -3, and if I add a -4, I move left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's -7. Cross that out and put -7. So I have -3, the times operator, -7, the plus operator, and then 5. Okay, so the parentheses is done. Multiplication, you have right here. Negative times a negative is a positive, and 3 times 7 is 21. And then plus 5. There's no division operator, and then adding. So 21 plus 5 is 26. Okay, now here I have 3x minus y plus 2x minus 6 plus 4y minus 7, but we don't have any replacement values over here, so we can't parenthesize them and empty them, okay? So I will not be doing the parentheses and then the replacement, the emptying out and replacing. I don't have values. Okay, so multiplication, or parentheses, no, but know your operations first. 3, and this would be a 1 here, so between 3 and 1 we have a minus. Now I'm minusing a positive, so we convert that to plus, and the 1 is negative. Between the -1 and 2, the operator is a plus. Between 2 and 6, the operator is a minus. I don't like the minus there, so I'm subtracting a positive, so plus negative. on 6. 6 is negative, adding negative 6. Between negative 6 and 4, the operator is a plus. Between 4 and 7, the operator is a minus. I don't like minus. I make it plus. I'm subtracting a positive, so that's negative. Okay, now we can go to our order of operations. Okay, now that we know what the operators are. Multiplication, there are no multiplication. Division, there's no division. It's just addition. But you can only add certain things. So let's look at x first. Okay. So I have a 3x and a 2x, okay? So I'd start at 3, go 2 to the right. That would take you to 5, and cross those out after they've been added. Okay, then a plus operator, and now let's look for the y's. Okay, the next letter in the problem is y. So I have a negative 1y and a 4y. So I need to combine those. So I start at negative 1. And I'm going 4 to the right because it's positive 4. That takes me to 3. So that's 3y. Okay, and then and then that's all the letters I have. And then so now I'm looking for the numbers I have remaining. I have negative 6 and negative 7. So I'd start at negative 6 and go 7 to the left because you're adding a negative. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It takes me to negative 13. Now, I still have adding operators, but these are non-like terms. So that is the final answer, because the 5 contains an x, the 3 contains a y, and the negative 13 is our constant. Okay, and then just like that one, on this one, I have an x variable, but I don't have a replacement value. Okay? So, I need to know my operators. So negative 2, and that's a 1x. Negative 2 and 1, that's a times, because I have no operator. 1 and 4, that's a minus. Again, I don't like minuses. I'm subtracting a positive, so I go plus, negative. Okay, now I start my order of operations. Okay, so again, this first one, if you have replacement values, you need to empty the parentheses. And then you need to know your operators and then go to town. So parentheses. Well, I have 2 values in that parentheses, but the problem is that has an x and that doesn't. So that's non-like terms. We will not be adding those. Multiplication, you bet. But the negative 2 is times by everything in this parentheses, both terms. Okay? So if I have to do those rainbows, we need to write off to the side what we're multiplying. So negative 2 times 1x and negative 2 times negative 4. So negative 2 times 1, that'd be negative 2. And I'd have x on that product. And then a negative times a negative is a positive, and 2 times 4 is 8. And remember, the operator is always plus. So I write negative 2x plus 8. Okay, division, we have no division operation. Adding, well, we have an adding operation, but these are non-like terms because that has x, that doesn't. So that's the final answer. That's as simplified as I can get. Okay, the next problem. 6x minus 3 and then negative 3. So you can't replace the x, so know your operators. Between 6 and 3, I have minus. I don't like minus, so I make it plus, and the 3 goes negative. Okay, and now we start our, and then the line means that's a division operation. Parentheses. Well, I have 2 values here, but that has an x, that doesn't, so those are non-like terms, so you cannot add those together. Multiplication, you have no multiplication operation. Division, sure, okay? But in the divisor is negative 3. That means you need to divide these separately. So right off to the side what you're doing. So you're going to have 6x on top divided by the negative 3. And then we have the negative 3 on top divided by negative 3. So positive and divided by negative is a negative. 6 divided by 3 is 2, and we put x on that quotient because one of the factors had x, and negative 3 divided by negative is a positive, and that's positive. So plus is your operator. So I have negative 2x plus 1. So the division operation is done. Adding, I do have an adding operator, but these are not like terms. That has x, that does not. That's your answer. Okay, square roots are easy. What number times itself is 9? Got to be the same factor. Well, that would be 3. Square root of 80. What times itself is 80? Well, there's no integer times itself that's 80, so I need to find the square root on my calculator. So I go second, x to the second, and then the square root comes up, and I get 80. So 8.94, and then there's another 4, so it will stay at 8.94. If that third digit's 5 or greater, it goes to 8.95. Okay, write a simplified expression for our perimeter here. Okay, now remember what perimeter means. It's adding all the sides. Area is the length times the width, and we need to parenthesize each of those variables. Okay, so I have 6 and 6, and then 3x minus 4. So adding the sides. So I have 3x minus 4 plus 6 plus 3x minus 4 plus 6. And now I do what I was doing on that front page, but I do not have a replacement value for the x. So now I got to know the operator. So 3 and 4 have a minus. I'm subtracting a positive, so plus negative. Now we're adding negative 4. Between negative 4 and 6, we already have a plus operator. 6 and 3 is a plus. 3 and 4 is a minus, so we need to fix that. So minus, and that's a negative then. And then the 6, the operator is plus. So now I know the operators. Let's figure out the order. There are no parentheses. There is no multiplication. There is no division. There's just adding. But like on this problem here, you can only add like terms. So I have an x variable, and I find the x's 3 and 3 and add those together to make 6. And then after that, you put a plus operator, and then you add the rest of these all together. Negative 4, positive 6, negative 4, positive 6. You can take your calculator to do that. So negative 4 plus 6 plus negative 4 plus 6. All 4 of those are like terms, and I get 4. And again, if I were at negative 4 and go 6 to the right, I'd be at positive 2. Okay? And if I add negative 4, I'd go to the left, and I'd be at negative 2. And then I'd go 6 to the right, because it's a positive, and that's 4. Sorry, my phone's going off. It's just the pharmacy telling me my meds are ready. Okay, now we need to empty those parentheses. We always empty the L and W parentheses. So we know that our L is 3x minus 4. And the width is 6. Okay, you cannot replace the x, so know your operators. 3 and 4 is a minus. I don't like that, so plus. Then 4 goes to negative, because you're subtracting a positive. Then between 4 and 6 is the times operator. So parentheses, now we have a parentheses with 2 values, but that has an x, that doesn't. So those are non-like terms, so we don't want to add those. The multiplication, you bet. But I need to take the 6 times each one of these, because the 6 is being multiplied by all terms in that parentheses. Since you had non-like terms, you need to not just take the 6 times negative 4, but you also need to take it times 3x as well. Okay? Whenever you have non-like terms like that in a parentheses, when you multiply, there should be 2 multiplications. So 6 times negative 4. And 6 times 3x. Remember, non-like terms and then multiplication means you need to take that times every number in here. Okay? I have a lot of people just thinking they times these two, because after all, that's the 2 numbers the signs between. Well, not really. The times means, yeah, I take 6 times negative 4, but I also need to take the 6 times 3x. Don't forget that. So that's a negative 24. And that's 18 x, and the operator's plus, so negative 24 plus 18x. And that's an adding operator, but again, you have NLT. So non-like terms, and there's a multiplication. You need to multiply the 6 times each one of these terms, not just this, okay? Haven't been very clear about that, I don't feel. Okay, next problem, number 11. An eagle starts flying at an elevation of 42 feet. Elevation is a distance above sea level. The eagle then flies upward 144 feet, downward 126 feet, up 25 feet, and down 65 feet before the landing on the brook. Find the eagle's elevation when it lands on the brook. This is easy. You're finding feet, and feet is the only unit in the problem. So all these values are like terms. So he starts flying at 42 feet. Then he goes up 144, so I add a positive 144. Then he goes down 126, so I add a negative 126. Up 25, and then down 65. So we just add all those together. It's adding operation the whole way through, and all of these are like terms. So 42 plus 144 plus negative 126 plus 25 plus negative 65, and I get 20. So 20 feet. Okay, number 12. A bank account loses a total of $500 over a course of 8 months. Calculate the average rate of change in money lost per month. So money per month. Now that means I know it's the division operator, and the dollars is 500, and the months is 8. So I take 500 divided by 8, and that is 62.5. So $62.50. Don't just put 0.5 if you're talking money. That's the money he's losing per month. Okay, then our final problem. A hawk is traveling at a height of 400 feet. It travels downward with a velocity of 20 feet per second. What will the eagle's elevation be after 12 seconds? So you're finding the feet, but feet is not your only label. You also have seconds, okay? So to know the real operators, we're going to draw these boxes because there are 2 units. 2 units underlined like that. I need to find the feet, but I got to know my operator. Well, it's not just adding. There might be some adding, but with this other unit, I need to actually write an equation. So what are the 2 labels? Feet and seconds. Remember, the time is my x variable. So time is x. And then feet is y. So per. The y label goes on top, the x label on bottom. And the feet per second is 20. Now he's going downwards, so the 20 is negative. Okay, then make your graphic organizer. Remember how we labeled the beginning. X comma y, 0 in for x. And from there we have an addition operator. And then mx, and then y. I'll put it equals in front of the y. And we have our m value from over here, that's negative 20. Okay, and prior to the 20 feet per second, how many feet did you have? You had 400. Again, these are not like terms that you can add right away because that's feet per second. Totally different. So I have 400 feet to start with, and then the adding operator, remember that 0 doesn't go down here. Negative 20x equals y. Now I need to find a replacement value. 12 seconds. And 12 seconds, that goes in for the x. Okay, so I want to circle the x and replace it, empty that. Put a parentheses around it and empty it. So 400 plus negative 20 parentheses equals y. And I have 12 as my replacement. So now know your operators. Between this and negative 20 is a plus, and between that and 12 is no operator, so that's times. So we need to times first. That's negative 240. So I have 400, the plus operator, and then negative 240 equals y. And the operator here is plus, and I can just add those. 400 plus negative 240, 160. So let's kind of briefly go back over this. First page, it's expressions. If they give you replacement values, parenthesize and empty them. Know your operators and run through these steps. Okay, if they don't give you replacement variables, well, just know your operators and then follow this. Remember, the adding part, you can only add like terms. Okay, if you have two numbers but one has an x, one doesn't, you're not allowed to add. Okay. Once again, remember, if we have non-like terms but there's a times, you got to times it by these two separately, not just 2 times 1x. I'll have a lot of people just do 2 times 1x is 2x, and then they'll just put plus negative 4. No, since you had non-like terms, the negative 2 is multiplied by each one of those. That's anytime you have non-like terms with that multiplying on the outside. That multiplier is multiplied by everything in that parentheses. Okay, and that's the same thing here with that area. Okay, those are not like terms. So when I do the multiplication, I have to remember I've got to take 6 times each term. Not just 6 times what it's next to, okay?